The dressing rooms at the MCG. I spent a lot of time here over the years, and being back in here stirs up a lot of memories, amazing memories. I remember celebrating some test wins, one-day victories in here. Merv Hughes running around squirting beer in our face, singing the team song underneath the Southern Cross. It was all pretty amazing times. I remember being carried off after dislocating my shoulder on a stretcher, the doc putting it back in over here. I remember my last test match ever at the MCG, walking off, sitting in my little corner with Michael Clark, Lee McGrath and the rest of the boys into the early hours of the morning. But it's that kind of place, a place where anything can happen. I remember back in 1991, I was walking through the members with some beers and some pies under each arm with a friend. Walked through and I bumped into Ian McDonald, who was the team manager, and Bob Simpson, who was the coach. I remember bumping into them and they said, mate, just take it easy, you might be playing in Sydney next week. And I did. I made my test debut in Sydney against India and I got smacked all over the park. When I say I got smacked, I got carted when I ended up with 1 for 150. But what it did, it gave me a taste of international cricket. I thought, you know what, this is what I want to do. I want to become a cricketer, become the best cricketer I possibly can. I was very lucky I got to speak to guys like Ian Chappell, Rod Marsh, Terry Jenner. I worked hard on my fitness because I was a bit of a fat bastard and stuff. And I worked hard on my bowling. I worked for hours and hours every day with Terry Jenner in the nets. And I felt I was prepared and ready to take on the West Indies about a year later. It was that day that I think my career started to take a turn for the best. I ended up taking 7 for 52. Greg Matthews, who was 12th man, went and grabbed my father out of the crowd, dragged him here. I sat with my dad, had a beer and celebrated getting 7 for 52. My name was up on the honour board. The 12th man had put some sticky tape up there and said Shane Warne 752. And my name was up there with a lot of great players, which made me feel pretty special. From there I went to England in 1993 and I bowled my first ball to a guy called Mike Gaddy. You're always nervous that when you're about to bowl your first ball in any match, let alone a test match against England.
First ball in test cricket in England for Shane Warne. And he's done it. He started off with the most beautiful delivery. Gaddy has absolutely no idea what has happened to it.
Yep, it was a little bit of arse, complete arse, actually a bit of a fluke. But I believe it was just meant to be. But also, I think you make your own luck. One of my strengths is working out the strategy to come against most players, to work out what plan I'm actually going to put in place. Working out whether they've got an open stance, got a closed stance, they've got a bottom hand grip, top hand grip. What do they actually like to do? I like to try and find a weakness in the batter. Whether I haven't seen them, I just stand and slip and have a look. Working it out was my strength. And whenever I got to the top of my mark, I'd say, right, I've got my plan, I've worked out what his weakness is. I look around my field, make sure that's all right. Now it's a matter of clearing my mind and about execution. Some days it worked, some days it wouldn't work. Two of the things I used to always have to remind myself was think high, which was my arm when I got a bit tired, to get my arms up, get a bit low, get that up a bit, and also spin up. And that was not to spin the ball down, but to spin the ball up, which would give it a little bit of shape, a curve, and a little bit of bounce. Sometimes it all came together. Look, I was part of some great wins for Australia. We've sailed all over the world. From a personal point of view, a hat-trick in a Boxing Day test match in the G was pretty amazing. Leading up to this, taking the first couple of wickets, thinking about, okay, Devon Malcolm's going to come out the bat, and what am I actually going to bowl to him? You can think about a flipper, leg break, top spinner, right, what am I actually bowl? He looked like Robocop with all his padding. He looked like he was facing 150k delivery, not a spinner.
Shane Warne on a hat-trick.
His birthday too. He was happy, we were all happy. It was an amazing time. And that's, I think, one of the beautiful things about sport is every time you walk through the gate, you never know what it's going to bring. You know, will I take a hat-trick? You never think you're going to take a hat-trick. We're going to get 5, make 100. Some of us might just play one of those really good shots on 99. But you never think you're going to actually get injured. For me, back in 96, I did my finger. I had to go through some pain where I had to put my finger out. The doctor had to put some cortisone injections into my finger. Which the hardest thing about it was my finger felt different. The ball felt different in the hand and it felt different when I bowled. Then I did my shoulder and I got to the stage where I couldn't even lift my arm. I couldn't even wipe my bum. Sleeping was an issue, migraines, trying to get comfortable. It was all a pretty tough time. It's not a sob story, but these were some of the things that I was going through at that stage. The other things that were going through my mind was, am I actually going to bowl again? I even thought about giving it away at certain stages. At the World Cup, when we got there in '99, I'd just been dropped for the first time in about 10 years for the last Test match in the West Indies. And we'd had an ordinary start as a team, and from an individual point of view, I was struggling. I wasn't bowling very well. I wasn't happy with the way I was bowling. But we got to the semi-final. We managed to get there. We were playing South Africa. And they were none for 40 odd. And I thought, you know what? This is it. It's time for me to give them a rip. It's time. If your arm falls off, then let it be. It falls off. If your finger falls off, so be it. I remember standing at the top of my mark and saying, this is it. Come on. Herschel Gibbs was down the other end. And it was time just to bowl the jaffa.
It's a wonderful delivery from Shane Warne. Clipping the top of off stump. That's absolutely exactly what the Australians needed. Herschel Gibbs completely bemused by it. He can't believe it's happened to him.
And for me at that time it was a bit of relief. It was like, you know what? I can do it. And it gave me the confidence to go on and take some wickets that day. Also, we managed to tie the semi-final, which put us into the final. We won the World Cup. I was man of the match in the semi-final and the final. David Fleming tried to push us off the balcony in our celebrations. I remember giving Steve Waugh a hug out on the balcony. I just felt like I was back on top. I felt like I was back. I felt really, really good about myself. The team were winning World Cups. It was all pretty good. Standing on the balcony at Lord's, playing in Cape Town in your 100th Test. I was very lucky to play all over the world. But the MCG was my backyard. And one day I had the opportunity to captain Australia and one day international against England. I'm sure if you told me that a long time ago that I captained Australia, I'd think you were the fairies. But my biggest challenge that day wasn't actually with the bat or the ball. It was actually trying to stop Bay 13 throwing things at the ponds. I remember Alex Stewart signaling to the dressing room, come out. And I thought, is he talking to me? Does he want me out in the ground? The boys said, mate, they want you out there. So I remember jogging out to the ground thinking, there's 80,000 people here at the ground. How am I actually going to stop these people? They're all going, warning, warning, the whole time. And I thought, okay, Alec, what do you think? He said, any chance of you stopping the crowd down at Bay 13? But I'm in trouble here, I need some protection. Mark Law was in the middle, I grabbed his helmet and thought, if they throw something less, it's going to hit me in the head. I got the helmet on. I said, please stop throwing things. Gave a bit of a clap. And to their credit, to the crowd's credit, they actually stopped. I tried to get off the ground as quick as I possibly could. Gave Mark his helmet back. But I remember coming back from that, sitting in the rooms and amongst the teammates, just putting my feet up, watching the game and thinking, did that just happen? Did that really just happen? It was a pretty sort of surreal experience. It was a big one of my career, incredible ride. I had an amazing journey. 1 minute I was one of the lads walking through the members with pies and beers, watching Bay 13, the next minute I was playing for Australia. Cricket, it sort of found me, but you know what, I'm glad it did. And I'll definitely miss this place too.